Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, there we go. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Good to see you on a Wednesday. I miss it. I really do. It's really good to be here with everyone. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. I have been here working. Still feel like things are going slow, but there's a lot of things that are happening. And unfortunately, decreased amount of time in order to get it all done in. But I've been sitting here working on this Cultists RPG that we've been working on together for a number of different episodes here. And I thought it would be good to get together back on it because it's actually been fantastic. These different discussions with everyone on this has been fantastic. I've been working on that section on magic. I was putting together some different headaches. I think we should look at the gods again. We need to do some custom design of the characters, the adding in the pre-generated characters and things like that, because we just about got all of the narrative roles finished. And I do want to think a little bit more about what the situation is with the troubles, because we had talked about the phraseology of the troubles before. And that's been in the back of my head ever since we've done that. So I want to look at that again. Like, is it clear? Do they need to be rewritten? I got to think about that. What I'm thinking about doing, I've got, in order to kind of move this along a little bit further. Now, the Kickstarter page for all of this is nearly submittable to Kickstarter. I'm hoping to be able to do that this afternoon. I was working on some different, just a couple of other paragraphs. Now, what will not be finished is all of like the pricing for the pledge levels and things like that, because I don't have all of my costs for all of the shirts and the RPG itself and things like that yet. And I won't have the videos yet. So those will still have to be done. But I'll have everything so that it can be submitted to Kickstarter, I hope this afternoon. And that way they can at least review it, and then it'll be back on us to launch whenever we want. Hey, James. Welcome. We got James here. We've got Zero the Blade here. Glad you're here. Robert's here. Tomocrat's here. So I've been thinking about a lot of different things lately, but I'm trying to get this book finished. I was also thinking a little bit about Fated Edge the other day, yesterday, day before, a little bit. So we need, so I was thinking about that, and I was trying to think what exactly, so where are we on that, and how fast could it get to something that's actually play testable? So we've got that too. Tomocrat says you need a god for you and Brianna. You're talking about a playable a god to have somebody worship in here. We got to look at these gods and come up with these powers. We were working on powers as well. So hey, let's breathe and sip this morning. Let's breathe and sip. Hey, good morning. Wild Barley's here as well. Good morning. Good morning. So let's do a breathe and sip. Catch up with what's going on. So I got my Cultist coffee mug this morning. So let's do 2 deep inhales, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. So here we go. All together now. Inhale. And sip. So I also do want to get together and play some Hero Quest. I've got next week, I should be able to go play Hero Quest with my nephews. But I was thinking maybe, because I haven't been able to organize, I haven't thought about organizing a new RavenCon either lately. But I was thinking about that, and I was thinking maybe that should actually, what we should be doing is like a week-long effort or something like that. Because I know this is kind of closer to what like Runehammer does, and I still need to speak to him. And I know that I've got information. I've got information on the Runehammer Jam I've got to look at. I've been posting some stuff in the Discord server, but I haven't been able to do much else. So I know that's coming up. I hope it's not already on. Does anybody know if the Runehammer Jam is already on? If not, it's coming up soon. Robert says, AI RPG update. Using a new module, I've managed to make important updates to the web version of the game, which now independently creates room names, descriptions, objects, and NPCs. Major upgrade. Very cool. Hey, let's go ahead and start this by throwing out some of these other memberships, because it says that I have 5 memberships left to give this month. So I'm going to hit this button right here for those people who are with me here on a Wednesday. Remember, I don't have any control over who gets these. This is completely algorithmic. But if you're here on a Wednesday morning with us getting this started, I'm going to go ahead and hit this button, and then we're going to see what happens. Hey, good morning, Andrew. Andrew's here. So button hit. Let's see what happens. Crazed Harpooner. All right. Brett Hamilton, Mark Hansen, Virewolf, and Jacko Milonomy. Crazed Harpooner, we were having discussions last time, right? We were having Hero Quest discussions together. Brett's has been here for a long time, so I'm glad Brett got that. Crazed Harpooner as well. Mark Hansen, I know we've been talking to you in the chat, I believe. Although Virewolf and Jacko, if you are here watching, hey, say something in the chat. Say hi to everybody. Good to have everybody. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We'll go for about an hour this morning. Hey, Alex. Good morning, Alex. Welcome, welcome. Have you in the chat before? I don't know. Let's do a sip. Let's do a sip to Alex right here. I'm not sure if Alex has been in the, once you're in the chat for the first time, you get a sip. So that's to Alex. Okay, let me bring up where I was. So I keep thinking I'm almost done with this project. And I am almost done. I have no idea what's going to happen with the layout here. The layout's probably going to, like, I want to be able to send this to Brianna for layout. I'll send this to James when it's done, and then I'll send it to Brianna after that for actual layout for proofing, which, by the way, I also have to order more proofs of these scripts because it takes, so even doing this like print on demand, sometimes you have to go through a couple of different proofs. Like, I don't know if I showed you this or not. We got the Cultist scripts here, which are going to be on the Kickstarter page. But we got, here we go. I don't know. There we go. I noticed that I wasn't really a big fan of the way that the spine text sat. So Brianna updated those files with smaller text. And I got to reorder those. So even if you're like, hey, here we go. Let's, it's ready. Let's go get a proof ready. Sometimes you have to reorder, and that is slow. I mean, it's faster than having to go all the way through, a printer and things like that, but it's slower than you might want them to be. Hey, good morning. Andrew says, does any project get finished or you just run out of time? Yeah, I know. And once again, I'm bleeding time. I am bleeding time. Yes, Brianna did a fantastic job with them. They're organized very well. Okay, so I was also saying, so what I'm going to do, though, once I get finished here, once I get finished with this draft, before it goes to editing and then to layout, I'm going to put together playtest and beta test copies of this, which I think is going to be all digital. I wanted to be able to send out some physical copies for playtest and for different reviews, different YouTubers and things like that. But it just looks like this is not that the playtest and the review kind of stuff is probably going to have to be digital. That'll move things a little bit along, because once I have the playtest material, well, then it can still be going to editing, and then it can be revised after we play it in the coffee shop and things like that. Then Brianna can take it and put it together. But once I have the playtest material and the review material that can be sent out, well, then we'll be getting close to the point where we can actually start promotion. And by the way, we created a list. Sherry Lee and I were creating a list of different people who we would like to reach out to regarding the Cultists on both the story side and the gaming side. And we came up with a list of about 30 people. If you've got people who you think we should contact, I'm going to put the link to the Discord server in here. And so you can put like a show or a live stream or a YouTube channel or whatever it is in there. But I haven't reached out yet. We just made this list. Haven't reached out yet because I told her, Sherry was like, no, do you want me to go ahead and start reaching out to these people? And I said, no, not yet, because we are not, because I'm not actually ready to send out playtest and review material. And I don't have a date to launch yet. I mean, once we have the playtest material, and beta material and review material available to send out, maybe I'd like to do about 3 weeks worth of promotion and then run the campaign. But I can't do it until I actually get all this written. So it's on me. Everything is going through writing this to finish up this first version. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about going. But if you have other people, so it'll be a major kind of press I'm interested in doing. I'll send out, we got about 30 people to write to. Hopefully we'll be able to do some show exchanges. I think it'd be really neat if I could get on some other shows, and Doug as well, about the Cultists, and then have them on Table Talk as well. So do some show exchanges with people and sort of set that up while maybe like a 3-week Kickstarter campaign runs. Try to do a bunch of stuff during that 3 weeks. So I know there's a lot that I want to do, and I need to put my mind on that, but this has got to be done first. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I did start writing this on spells and spell casting, and let's see if we can get, we may not be able to get this finished at this moment, but here's where I was going. Let me read it out loud. This is heavily inspired by PH, the PH's material here. Spells and spell casting. Regardless of whether or not magic and the Elder Gods actually exist, see Magic and the Elder Gods in the Cultist, page YYY, ritualistic spell casting plays an important part in the Cultists and can at the gaming table as well. Much of the story in the Cultists revolves around and is driven by attempts at casting spells. For instance, episode 2 of the first season, The Trouble with Necromancy, opens with Mike trying to ritualistically commune with Yog-Sothoth with table salt. It ends with him and Rob trying to use an ancient ritual to raise the dead. The story arc of the second half of the first season is driven by the cultists' attempt to summon Cthulhu because they think he will be a valuable ally in their fight against the cultists of the Yellow King. Summoning Cthulhu requires several steps, each of which is a focus of an episode. First, in episode 7, the summoning, the cultists attempt to summon Cthulhu and fail. They determine what might have been the cause of the failure and conduct 2 other rituals in order to attract Cthulhu's attention before they can attempt a second summoning. They determine the cause of the failure and conduct 2 other rituals. They don't need in order there. They determine what might be the cause of their failure and conduct 2 other rituals to attract Cthulhu's attention before they can attempt a second summoning. In episode 8, the ritual, the cultists have a ritualistic orgy. In episode 9, the branding, the cultists escalate their attempt to summon Cthulhu dramatically with Rob's branding. This leads to episode 10, to raise a god, which involves another ultimately failed attempt to summon Cthulhu. Doug, I think about that quite a bit, actually. There's BGD. We were just talking about Runehammer. I've got to get back with you. But good morning. Good morning, BGD. There's a lot of stuff I got to catch back up on. Let's see. Central to season 2 was Ben's attempt to cast a spell to destroy Steve. Ben makes several gallant attempts, starting with episode 6, Power Word Kill, and culminating with an attempt to cast Phantasmal Killer in episode 10, The Return. Season 1 involves other rituals as well, notably Ben's attempt to call Rob back from the sea, and then Ben's ceremony dedicating himself to Cthulhu. Season 2, episode 8, At the Water's Edge. Significantly, though attempting to cast these spells drive the story, none of them actually work. Regardless of the effectiveness of the spells in the game, spell casting should not be easy. There's a number of different elements to spell casting that that spell casting might require. Elements that spellcasting might require. Players should feel free to use these and many other elements to make spellcasting difficult and add complications to the game. For instance, spellcasting might require. So this is where we're going over here and taking a look at the kinds of things that the Lemuria game had. Let's see. Let me see if I can open that. Let me see. Alex says, are there consequences for failure? Failing to cast a spell? You're talking about, are there failures to cast a spell? Well, even if, because they may not work, there may be no magic. Like we talked about in another, there's another section right here that's specifically about magic and the elder gods and whether or not they actually exist within the story or within the game. So spellcasting might never work because there's no magic. Now, sometimes spellcasting might work incidentally. The characters might think that spellcasting might work. Like, for instance, when they do actually take out Steve, they think it's because of something they actually did. So, but even in the Cultist season 1, okay, they failed to summon Cthulhu, right? Cthulhu, we had a failure to summon Cthulhu. Well, both times, even at the end of the show. Well, we go to a failed summoning of Cthulhu, but it still satisfactorily concludes the show. We end up concluding Ben's arc because Ben has had a hard time of it, and we see growth, especially with Ben's character, right? About how he is going to sacrifice himself to Cthulhu. And then ultimately he comes to grips with the fact that, well, you know, maybe I'm not such a good cultist, but everyone reconciles with him. And so it's still a satisfactory conclusion of the show. So I think that's, in fact, maybe we should say something like that. To try the story, none of them actually work. Although attempting to catch these spells drive the story, none of them actually work. Further, even though the spells technically fail, the story is still brought to a successful conclusion a successful and satisfying conclusion. Then, let's see, they may not. Even though, when I say something like that, it's like, well, maybe we should question, maybe that should be added in here. Even though the cultists failed to summon Cthulhu at the end of season 1. The failed casting, the failed summoning, still facilitates the conclusion of the story and even Ben's narrative arc. That should be facilitates. There we go. Right. Oh man, I haven't thought about that in a long time. This reminds me of the Great Pumpkin. I don't even remember that. But that's the Charlie Brown Halloween, right? Yeah, it kind of does. But it's been so long since I've seen that. So let's look with Lemuria. What was going on with PH was showing, because that had a great list of different things. Like if you're trying to put together a things that are necessary in order to cast a spell. I thought I had that book right by my head, right at hand. All right, now I got it again. Okay, so let's look at spell castings. The kinds of things, because it did have a fantastic list of things that you might need to consider. So 19. Page 19. Okay. For instance, spell casting may require a special item or spell component. Or special items or spell component. We'll make both of those plural. Special items or spell components. Maybe the ritual to conduct the spell is only written in a long lost. I believe I was trying to say tome here. Special items or spell components. That has to do with the book, though. Well, let's see. What are our categories? Our categories are special items. We may need to deal with distance. Time to cast. Requiring intimate or personal materials. Time to cast, like ritual movement, right? Limited time, personal cleansing rituals. So let's see. So, but what I want to say is here's some ideas, and then depending on the power of the spell, you may have very small. It may not be such a major thing in that category, or it could go much larger. So let's see. Robert says that Linus tries to summon the Great Pumpkin, and it turns out it's Snoopy. Sally clobbers him, and Linus is left dejected. Oh, and Snoopy rose out of the pumpkin patch, and they all thought it was the Great Pumpkin. God, I don't remember that. Okay. In fact, okay, we'd probably say up here, in fact, the more difficult or the greater the effect or we'll say generally, the greater the magical effect the cultists are trying to produce, the more difficult it should be. However, there is plenty of comedic absurdity in the cultists trying to do something very ordinary that could be easily accomplished with mundane means. But instead, they are trying to use an elaborate magical ritual. That could be pretty funny too. We're just trying to do X. In the context of this game, no, that could be an extremely difficult kind of spell to cast. Oh, but it's just something stupid and easy. When trying to, let's not make so. When trying to develop a spell to cast, or trying to develop the techniques necessary to cast a spell, the techniques consider the following. And what's the word here? These are casting requirements. Consider the following potential casting requirements. Distance to target. Time to cast. The personal materials, I think that can go under this idea of components. Or dedicate, this is dedicated time to cast. Personal cleansing, but this should also, cleansing or preparation, personal preparation. Or even that which could be part of sub rituals. What else is in this barbarian of Lemuria? Casting time, special knowledge, or personal preparation, cleansing, or ordeals. I mean, kind of like enduring the branding is kind of an ordeal. Oh, sacrifices. Sacrifices that must be made. Special items, rare ingredients. Right. So personal ordeal, ritual sacrifice. So this could have dedicated a limited time or a dedicated time to cast. This could certainly be this time of day or time of year, or even only one moment in a century when the stars are aligned. Alex says, summoning a named god should be something like a grand ritual that should be performed at a certain place. Oh, certain place. Yes, yes. Certain place, too. A certain place to cast. Okay, so let's see. The following casting requirements. Certain spells, so we'll do like just a short paragraph kind of describing, or two or three sentences about how this could escalate. Let's see, spells and the cultists are often, I don't want to say are often not what's the right word? Oh, the word are not spells in the cultists are often not inconspicuous. Ritual methods are often not inconspicuous. Casting a spell often requires like a certain place to cast, for instance, at the bird feeder. The bird feeder would be one. Casting a spell often requires, or often not, casting a spell usually requires dancing, chanting, grunting, and bizarre gestures. They aren't things. Casting such a spell is often going to draw the attention of the mundane world. We should say down here is that combining all of the above can be combined in any way, combined in multiple ways, in any combination. So perhaps the necessary spell can only be cast at noon in a special location, in a special site, which now happens to be built to have what's the most ridiculous, like a Taco Bell built on top of it. And the spell components, like what would you really not want to bring into a Taco Bell? And requires extravagant dances with bizarre substance. Somebody come up with something really good in here. Bizarre substance that you've got to bring in there. So let's see. So we can definitely combine these. So spells may require components ranging from the rather typical and mundane to the extravagant. And difficult to obtain. Components, even a mundane component, might be made more interesting by requiring it obtained in a strange way. For spells that target others, that target someone else, spells that target someone else may require certain may require personal objects, personal may require a personal object of theirs. to be the spell, to be the focus of the spell. This might be a part of their clothing, a piece of clothing. Or something more personal, like a clip of their hair. Obtaining this item can be the subject of an episode itself. Or a subject. It be the subject of a scene itself. Let's see. Yeah, how about they have to learn a different language? I like that. So let's see. The language. We had something about special knowledge. Let's put special knowledge here. Some spells might require special knowledge and research to cast. This material, these materials might even be written in a language or code that only dedicated cultists can interpret, can read, or even recognize as existing. Required sacrifices. Many spells cannot simply be cast. Sacrifices and sub-rituals. I'm going to put those two together. Which could also go with personal preparation and cleansing. Sacrifices, sub-rituals, and ordeals. What if we just make that? So sub-rituals. Many spells cannot simply be cast straight away. Many will require other rituals to be performed in advance. You can't, which is based off, you can't just summon Cthulhu. What's the quote here? Because you can't just summon Cthulhu out of nowhere. You can't just summon Cthulhu out of nowhere. He has to really get to know you first. As Mike says, you can't just summon Cthulhu out of nowhere. He has to really get to know you first. Rituals in advance of the main spell might require the sacrifices ranging from your sister's favorite Care Bear to your neighbor's favorite pet. We never had that going on. That would be funny if, I think for the style of at least the cultist show that we were doing, you wouldn't actually have someone like kill someone's pet, dog or cat or something. Who knows? That might go on with the cult of Shub out there in the woods, but I don't think our core crew would actually be able to do that. But they could certainly think they need to. That like they've got to get after this pet, this favorite cat of the next door neighbors. That like for some reason that cat has got to be sacrificed. So we never had something like that happen. You have to have an oversized, elaborate headdress. Yes, that could be going on at Taco Bell. We didn't specifically say anything about clothing in here, but dedicated time to, we should put that in here too. Grant spells and bizarre gestures and possibly even extravagant clothing. Extravagant and clothing. Okay. Such a spell is often going to draw the attention of the mundane world. With an oversized headdress. And a lot of glitter. Daniel says, don't you just hate it when your long-lost unholy ritual site gets built over by a Taco Bell? Yeah, getting caught stealing their toothbrush, right? Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah, that would actually, like, toothbrush would be funny. Like this, instead of saying clipping of their hair, that was kind of obvious. A clipping of their hair like their toothbrush. Someone can't find their toothbrush. Like someone can't find, or if your toothbrush goes missing, you're like, oh my God, somebody might be about to cast a spell on me. Certain locations are thought to be infused with magical power and central to it. Spells can't be cast just anywhere. They require a lot of magical power. And certain locations are thought to be infused. Magically infused. To cast the spell, the cultists must draw upon this power. Locations could be as simple as the bird feeder in the park, or as difficult as the basement of some. Let's see, where would you go to? Like, what's something that they could realistically, I'm saying, but what would be part of like breaking in the cultists or something like that? In the basement of some local business. What if it's a school? Oh, yeah, what if you're in school? At the basement of the school. At the basement of the local middle school. And the principal is definitely not in your cult. That break into some kind of environment like that. Or ordeals. Your neighbor's favorite, that should be pet. Other sub-rituals, other rituals in advance might require personal cleansing, preparation or cleansing, personal preparation of, or personal preparation or cleansing, ranging from tattooing, bathing to tattooing, or bathing, ranging from bathing. I mean, I'm going to take a look at this again for writing the next Cultists. After the ritual feast is easier when you already have a Taco Bell. Yeah, maybe that's part of it, that you've got the ritual feast. And the ritual feast is going to be Taco Bell. Even recognizing, where was it? Ranging from bathing in an inappropriate place, of course, to temporary tattooing to facial branding. Others, some players, one of the spellcasters might even have to face an intense ordeal in order to prove his worth. What are some ridiculous ideas for these? Is Care Bear 2 words? Maybe so. Intense ordeal to prove his worth, but then I need some ridiculous examples. Bathing. Mike says, "Hey, Mike." Mike says bathing. Oh, Mike was talking. That was Mike with the ritual Taco Bell too. So, hey, Mike. Mike says bathing, fasting, tattooing, swearing off your favorite meal. We'll say favorite food, to undergoing facial branding. Please do hit the like button. Yes, if you're here, please do like it. We're broadcasting here on several different channels. We're and outlets. I'm on the Cultist Facebook page. I'm on my Facebook page. I'm on the Heath's Geekverse channel, which is typically where the morning grind is held, but also going over to the Cultist YouTube channel itself. At some point, something will have to happen just to drive the story forward. Yes. But that, like I said, because it doesn't have to be something magical. I mean, it could be something magical to happen. If all the players want to play that way, that's absolutely fine. But you know, the story can be driven forward, even if they never actually successfully cast this spell on the Taco Bell. You know, or they're caught by the principal or something like that, trying to break into the school. That's something to overcome, even if the spell is never cast. Oh, yeah, that would be funny. An intense ordeal to prove his worth. Like going to a family reunion. A hated family Thanksgiving dinner. This knowledge is, so we got sub-rituals we have already been talking about. Not easy to obtain. Not easy to obtain. And it might even, and it may only be able to, and it may only be able to be taught by a teacher, by an esoteric teacher that must be sought out and then convinced of your worthiness. Sub-rituals and ordeals. This is really good. Let's start back at the top here. Certain required location. Required location. Dedicated time to cast. Okay, time to cast. I think time to cast was talking about how long does it actually take, not inconspicuous. Spells in the cultists are often not inconspicuous. And these are hardly instantaneous either. This could go on several minutes or even hours. We can talk about distance to target. Maybe I think we might, because we could talk about line of sight there, because that was a thing in the cultists. A christening. Hated Thanksgiving dinner. Hey, Brent. Good morning. Well, this has been the first weekday grind we've had in a while, so I'm glad you're here. Great to see you. Okay. So let's remove distance to target. That was a thing, but whatever. Obtaining this item. So 1, special items or spell components. Spells. So this needs to get here. Spells may require components ranging from the rather typical and mundane, rather from the, let's just say, from the mundane and ordinary to the extravagant and difficult to obtain. Even a mundane component might be made, a mundane item may be made more interesting by requiring it to be obtained in a strange way. Spells that target someone else, spells that target another character or someone else, another character, may require a personal object of theirs to be the focus of the spell. This might be a piece of clothing or something more personal like their toothbrush. Obtaining this item can be the subject. Well, I'd say this. Why would you say that could be a story arc in itself? Obtaining this item could be a story arc in and of itself. Ritual casting methods. I'll of course do another pass through this. Not on stream. So 2, ritual casting methods. Spells in the cultists are often not inconspicuous. Casting a spell usually requires dancing, chanting, grunting, bizarre gestures, and even extravagant clothing. Casting such a spell is often going to draw the attention of the mundane. Casting such a spell will draw the attention of the mundane world. These spells are hardly instantaneous either. They could go, rituals could go on for several minutes or even several hours. Dedicated time to cast. Some spells cannot be cast simply anytime you want. Different spells may be linked to only certain times. Let's see. From the mundane and ordinary to the limited edition and seasonal, like a special variety. Oh, I like that. I like that. To the limited edition and seasonal. To the seasonal. Very limited edition. What's let's see, what's something that only comes out once a year? Or like what's kind of food that only comes out once a year? Lay's potato chips. See, potato chips are easy to acquire. But what do you do when you need an Easter peep in the middle of Thanksgiving? Andrew says, instead of Taco Bell, picturing a different fast food place. So after the spell starts, the employees can say the classic line. So this is sir, this is a Wendy's. That's where it should be. A Wendy's. That's that would be fantastic for a scene with Rob, because they've got to come in here and you just start the scene with Rob talking about all this stuff and the spell that he's going to cast, and then just cut to this other side of the counter with the person that, sir, this is a Wendy's. Yes, like a pumpkin spice. Yes, like it's a pumpkin spice. Let's see. That might even be better. Like this certain spell. This spell. I'll come up with things. This spell doesn't just require any coffee. But a pumpkin latte. And it is the middle of summer. That might be better. I'll clean that up. Pumpkin spice is the fall, but what do you do in the spring? Exactly. Shamrock shake? I don't know that one. All right, we're closing in on an hour here. Let's see. Dedicated time to cast. Different spells linked to certain times. Some spells may be linked to the time of day, the time of year, or even only be possible when the stars, possible once a century, when the stars are in certain alignment. Putting a time constraint on the casting of the spell is a wonderful way to drive action and if the cultists miss the time, they can't just try again. keep the pressure on. Required location. Spells can't be just cast anywhere. They require a lot of magical power, and certain locations are thought to be magically infused. To cast the spell, the cultist must draw upon this power. Locations magically infused. Probably don't need that other sentence. But locations could be as simple as the bird feeder in the park, or as difficult, simple, or as difficult to get into as the basement of the local middle school. And the principal is definitely not in your cult. 5. Required sacrifices, sub-rituals, and ordeals. Many spells cannot simply be cast straight away. Many will require other rituals to be performed in advance. As Mike says, you can't just summon Cthulhu out of nowhere. He has to really get to know you first. Rituals in advance of the main spell might require preparatory. Let's get this preparatory rituals. There we go. Rituals might require the sacrifice, require a sacrifice ranging from your sister's favorite Care Bear to your neighbor's favorite pet. Other rituals in advance, was there another word for favorite there? Your neighbor's beloved pet. Other rituals in advance of other rituals might require personal preparations. Might require personal preparation, including might require personal cleansing. That says cleaning. Cleansing might require personal cleansing, ranging from bathing in an inappropriate place, of course, to temporary tattooing, swearing off your favorite food. Ranging from bathing, temporary tattooing, swearing off your favorite food, or undergoing facial branding. One of the spellcasters might even have to face an intense ordeal to prove his worth, like going to a family reunion, a christening, or a hated Thanksgiving dinner. James says, this is reminding me of the type of potion brewing that goes on in Jim Butcher's Dresden Files. Incorporating mundanity into magic is often extremely effective in getting me to buy into it. I haven't gotten into the Dresden Files. Well, that's probably what specific beverage is a spell-focused LOL druid with a latte. Like, I'm thinking about that too, that somebody needs to, like, we got the list of components that we have to have. Like, what do we have to have for this? And one of the witches, like, that's probably Shay, like, joking on that. Shay's got like this very specific latte that's on this list. And then and then they finally get it and everything else. Oh yeah, now what do we do with this latte? And Shay's like, oh, nothing. I just wanted to be sure I had a latte to watch this. You know, I just always like to watch. You know, this is just my favorite drink here. A Red Bull for a potion of speed. That is pretty cool. You cannot tell a lie for 24 hours. Or yeah. Because I think these are too similar. Like going to a family reunion. Or deny the elder gods. Okay, well, I'm going to that's a lot of progress. So I should be able to finish this section here this morning. And then what I was going to do, I'm just moving my way back down through the whole book. We were going to divide, yeah, this section into treble checks and sway checks. So maybe that won't be too difficult. But so because a lot of the material here is written, we just didn't think that it was very well organized. So I'm going to move on with that. I did also I started on the table of headaches. I think this will be fun. I need some more headaches here, but I was also working on the table of headaches. I was trying to come up with what Games Workshop calls a D66 roll, because this is just having 6-sided dice. But if in the event that you have some kind of headache, a complication you've got to introduce into the story, and you're having trouble coming up with one on the fly, I wanted there to be a table of different headaches in the back of things that you can use for roll on or use for inspiration or whatever else to add some kind of complication to the game. So I was working on that, but that's at the very end. So I am going to just keep pushing on here, finish this section. Brianna and I've got to do a few things here, because Brianna and I are meeting this afternoon. So maybe we'll be able to get the Kickstarter page submitted so that they can prove it, and it'll be under our control. Thank you, everybody who has been here. This has been fantastic. This has been fantastic. I love working on these things live. We got a lot of things to work on live. This, and then we're going to keep going with a whole bunch of different projects, because this is so much fun. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please do hit the like button wherever you are, on whichever channel you're on, and subscribe. And if you haven't seen The Cultists, that's on its own YouTube channel. So go and check. If you're wondering what it is we're talking about, well, The Cultists, the web series, is on its own YouTube channel. So, all right, everybody, go forth, be constructive, be creative, and make something fun. See you later.